Okay, when you factor by grouping, you have 4 terms. You're going to group 2 at a time. So here's what I mean. I'm going to put parentheses around the first 2 and see what they have in common that I can take out. So in my parentheses, they each have an x. Each term has an x. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to write down what's left in parentheses. So I have a y and an x. I took an x out, so that's a y. Then I have a plus sign. I have a 4 and an x. I took the x out, so that's a 4. Now, whatever sign is after your parentheses, write that down. These next 2, do not put parentheses around them. Just look at them and say, don't worry about the signs. Just look at the numbers, 6 and 24. What's the biggest number you can divide those by? It's 6. So you're almost ready for your final answer. You write down what's in parentheses, y plus 4, and then these 2 things that are not in parentheses, you've got to put them together. So x minus 6. And that's how you do that. So again, put parentheses around the first 2 and see what they have in common. We have an x in common. I have a 5 and an x. I took an x out, so that's a 5 left over. A plus sign. A 2, an x, and a w. I took the x out, so that's a 2w left over. Sign after the parentheses comes down. Now, for a 5 and a 2w, there's nothing that you can divide both of those by, so if the answer is nothing, you put a 1, because you can always divide anything by 1, and you have to have a number here. So I've got 5 plus 2w in my parentheses, and then these 2 things go together, x minus 1, and that one's done. Parentheses around the first 2 terms. Okay, for the numbers, I can divide them both by 4, but I also have an x in each term. So I have a 4, a w, and an x, and I took a 4 and an x out, so that's a w left over, minus sign. 8, when you take out, it's like dividing, so 8 divided by 4 is 2. And I have an x here, but I took it out. The sign after the parentheses is a plus. Now for the w and the 2, there's nothing that in common, so you have to put a 1. So in the parentheses, I have w minus 2, and these 2 things go together, so 4x plus 1, and you're finished.